Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sports books. The NBA season is fucking here. I am so excited. This is going to be an absolutely audaciously amazing season. I am telling you, the vibes I get from talking to people around the league, everyone's really confident. Everyone's feeling great. Everybody's in the best shape of their lives. We're ready to give you best bets 5 days a week. 5 days a week. From now through the end of the NBA season, we will have you here on Buckets. Everything we talk about today can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. You can track your bets. You can follow all of our experts' bets. You can see how much Brandon is refusing to bet on the Miami Heat, no matter how much I dare him to. You can track all sorts of future plays. You've got our panelists of guests today. They've got their plays up, even ones that don't allow in the app because they get to do those things. And Scott Miller, our head of production, won't let me put custom bets in. You can find all that cool stuff in the Action Network app. Want to let you know real quick, go check out youtube.com/the Action Network. You're going to find all sorts of cool stuff on there. You're going to find this show. You're going to find Big Bets on Campus. You're going to find the Action Network podcast and the favorites. You're going to catch our live shows. We're going to be doing NBA live shows. We're going to be doing all sorts of cool stuff. You want to subscribe, hit the subscribe and like button over on the Action Network YouTube page. This is your NBA season opener, Tuesday, October 24th, Best Bets episode. We made it. To join me and kick things off, we're going to have a bunch of contributors today. Our first group starting it off is going to be our usual Monday crew. I've got the Jays. I've got Jim Turvey and Joe Delera. They're going to give us our best bets. We're going to go through the cap. We're going to talk about each of the games on opening night and see how we can get you guys some bets that you're going to want to make. Joe Delera, we'll start with you. We're going to list them up at the front. What are your best bets for Tuesday night?
So you guys know I got to start with a ladder, and we're taking Devin Booker 3-point ladder, and we're liking Yusuf Nurkic over 2.5 assists.
All right. Jim Turvey, what are your best bets for Tuesday?
I've got Suns Warriors over 232, and I've got Bradley Beal over 4.5 assists.
All right, starting you off with some prop action. I like it. My best bets for Tuesday night. Nikola Jokic, 2+ threes. There's a plus 280 that you can find in the market. Austin Reeves, over 22.5 PRA. There's a minus 104 on that in the market. And in the late game, I have Warriors money line. There's a minus 110 flat out there. Like that bet quite a bit. We'll talk about why and more on this show. Let's go over the lines real quick for Tuesday night. I can't do this for every night because then Wednesday we have 15 games. The Nuggets are 4.5-point favorites in their ring banner night, first ever banner in franchise history. They are 4.5-point favorites, total 227.5, money line minus 202, a plus 169 in the Action Network app on the Los Angeles Lakers. The Golden State Warriors are 1-point favorites. This line has bounced around crazy over the last couple of weeks with the Draymond Green news, which we'll talk about. -1 for the Warriors, money line minus 113, a minus 105 on the Suns, and there is a 232.5, as Jim alluded to, in the market. All right, let's start with the early game because I think it's interesting, and neither of you have plays on it, so we can talk about it a little bit more. I've got Jokic 2+ threes plus 280, Austin Reeves over 22.5 PRA. I can't find anything on this side. I can't find anything in terms of what we want to do as far as a side here. I have this number. Okay. On a normalized home court, I have this Nuggets minus 2.7. On a adjusted for last year's home court. So if you think the Nuggets are going to have as good a home court advantage as they had last year when they had the second best in the league behind Memphis, I have them minus 6.5. So if you believe in the Nuggets home court with the altitude, I think there's value on Denver. If you think that they will probably, that home court advantage will be neutralized by the Lakers having more time off, not flying in necessarily the day before or the morning of, or the rigor of travel during the season, and they'll be kind of adjusted, plus the weirdness of banner and ring night for how emotional it'll be. I think there's a little bit of value on the Lakers. As such, I don't have a play on that. I'm going to be staying away from totals in general early on in the season. I think it's very difficult to kind of get to as far as what we want to do early in the season. I'll get to my kind of caps on the props that I've got, but Joe, I want to kind of get your thoughts on, do you have leans as far as this game goes?
I think I think I lean the over, just a little bit generally. I know it looks like Taurean Prince is going to start, and I know that the Lakers have been playing a lot more drop in preseason, and that's kind of something that they kind of are going to default to. I think just throughout the course of the regular season is a little bit easier for them, especially with some of their screen navigation. So I think that given Denver's just like offensive proficiency, that's going to be a spot that they can really kind of target. But I also like Taurean Prince and like what he's been able to do for the Lakers offense. I think the offense is a little bit more malleable so far and kind of like what we've been able to see. And obviously like LeBron's healthy, Anthony Davis is healthy. It's like it's the first game of the season. Like these guys are healthy. So I think that we should be able to see some effort there. And I think that having Austin Reeves have like that full season coming off USA basketball, I do like your play on him. I'm on his over assists. I have it like at 3.5, but it's kind of moved to 4.5. So I think that your pivot at the PRA is really the way to target him because the points are there, the rebounds he kind of grabs, and the dimes are always kind of there as well. So I think that I just kind of lean the over here. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a faster paced game with not as much defense.
Yeah, I like the Austin Reeves play. They left him the Nuggets' entire game plan in the playoffs, and that's a playoff game plan versus regular season. But their plan very much was like Austin Reeves can do whatever. Like if he's going to shoot 60% from three, that's fine. Like he can do whatever. There are impactful points and there are non-impactful points, and the Nuggets treat Austin Reeves points as pretty non-impactful. So the starting minutes I like there. When he staggers with the second unit, which I think he will do a fair amount running the second unit as point guard, he's going to be going up against Reggie Jackson and then Jalen Pickett to a certain degree. I love the rebound capacity there. I love that anytime that he's going to be on the floor versus that second unit, they are likely, depending on who the Lakers roll out at backup center and AD's not on the floor, the Nuggets are very likely to go small with Zeke Naji, who they just gave a $32 million extension to. Those units switch very effectively, but they don't rebound. They're all undersized. It's Jamal Murray and Reggie Jackson and they may be Julian Strother, Christian Brown, those type of guys. I don't expect those units to rebound well. I think there'll be a lot of rebound opportunities for Austin Reeves to pick up a few extra to get us over this. I think the Nuggets will allow him to shoot, and I think he'll be able to create some in various situations because, quite honestly, the Nuggets defense is going to be not. I don't want to overstate it. It's not going to be a train wreck. It's just not going to be good, I don't think, earlier. They may have a stretch this season where they're good. What I don't expect is like for them to come out of the gates. If you look at preseason, they know that they can just score with anybody, and that's going to be how they get through the season. I don't expect them to clamp in game one, even against the Lakers, even on ring night. So I like the points, rebounds, assists, 22.5 over for Austin Reeves. Jim, do you have any leans on this game?
Yeah, I lean towards the Nuggets. I am more of a believer that home court advantage is, maybe not to the full extreme that we saw last season, but it's been a generation of that home court being the best in basketball. I think on ring night, I think Michael Malone's been. The Lakers have been on his mind. We'll put it that way. So if this is a close game, we talked about how that 4.5 is kind of the equivalent to the funky zone that we see in the NFL. 4.5 can often be free throws late in the game. So it's kind of that honestly scares me off of making it a play in general. But I think Denver's the better team. I know the Lakers. Part of my hesitations with them are from for a season-long perspective, and I don't trust their health very much. And obviously, that's not as much an issue. You have D'Angelo Russell saying things that theoretically would be amazing if they came true. But I still think Denver is the better team here with the far better best player on a night that they're going to have motivation to win it. But the 4.5 number, I don't make enough to make it a bet, but I do lean that direction.
I will say that Michael Porter Jr. and Christian Brown, neither one of them played in preseason, and they both participated in practice on Sunday. They were full participants, no restrictions. Doesn't seem like they're not going to play, but if there's something weird, this line could move. I would say that MPJ, as good as he is in this particular matchup, isn't going to necessarily change my cap on it. So I would say that if this were to hit under 3, if this were to get bet, if Lakers were to get bet down, and this were to get hit Nuggets -2.5, I would have a play on the Nuggets. 4.5 is like right at the cusp of where I don't want it. For a number of reasons, including you're up 4, they don't foul, 13 seconds left, whatever, they let it run out. So a little bit of a warning sign there. I have Jokic 2+ threes. I looked at the over 0.5 and decided I was willing to go ahead and pay for the extra 3 and pick up the juice on it. This really just comes down to, if you watch the conference finals, you kind of saw this. Joker's very comfortable shooting threes versus AD. AD is going to give him space. Like, AD is just not going to guard him. No matter how many times Joker hits those shots that you saw on those replays, and if you're like, come on, he can't hit those again. Yes, he can. Yeah, he absolutely 100% can. I watched his first possession in preseason of a home game. He dribbled it off of his leg out to the 3-point line, turned around and hit a Sombor shuffle. Like, just gross. So, look, Joker has taken a high amount of threes in preseason, and I don't necessarily think that equates to what he's going to take in terms of the regular season approach. But is he going to just be like, yes, I'm going to muscle up and play like I did in the conference finals and try and bully through Anthony Davis, or is he going to take some threes if AD gives it to him? I think he gives him some threes, and I think there's enough value at plus 280 for him to hit 2. So, as we went over in the props episode, I'm terrible at props. So before you go running out to bet that, I wanted to talk about them because I think they're interesting and get them on the record. But Joe, you like the PRA one? Why am I going to lose the Jokic two threes bet?
I guess the only way that you're really losing it is that, like, in the regular season, I think Jokic took fewer threes, just like generally, and in the playoffs, for whatever reason, he was just like, well, if you're going to give it to me, I'm going to take it. But I think, like, his approach was a little bit different in the playoffs than in the regular season. But I think at the same time, like I kind of said before, the Lakers are generally playing a little bit more drop. I don't think Anthony Davis is going to want to be like out on the perimeter defending Jokic. And we know, like, if Christian Wood's in there, then that's just going to be a disaster in and of itself. So defending him. So I don't hate it. And especially at a plus number, I can't really hate on it too much, Matt.
And hey, maybe Rui Hachimura like gets way up under him. The risk there is always, if you come up on him and your defense is open underneath, that opens up cuts. And that's how he kills you every way. He especially kills you if you don't provide rim protection. In the late game, which we have a bunch of bets on, we'll get to that one. The Phoenix Suns taking on the Golden State Warriors. I have Warriors money line real quickly. Feel good about this one. Draymond Green practiced in full on Sunday. So this line was Warriors and then dipped to Suns, and then Draymond got cleared and it's back to Warriors -1. I think that Draymond plays, and I think that Warriors at home is enough for me to go ahead and bet this on the money line at -110. You want to lay, like I said, there's no real value there at -1, right? Don't play alternates. Don't do that. Just take the win. Just play the money line. My projection on this based off of power ratings, which is new this year. I'm very excited about having. I actually have. I have money line projections on power ratings, which is very exciting for me to lose more money betting on dogs. I'm very excited for that possibility this season. But look, I make this -212 based off of power rating model, based off of Warriors home court. And that's even with the adjusted for the normalized home court, and the Warriors have a significant one. So I like Warriors money line here. This is going to be an interesting matchup, but when you look at what the Warriors have in terms of balance in offense and defense, balance in units too, the Suns can stagger, but the Warriors can stagger more, where they're always going to have like 2 of the big 4, Draymond, Clay, Steph, and Chris Paul on the floor. I love Kevon Looney in this matchup. I think he's going to be able to really do work versus Nurkic. I don't love that combo for Phoenix. Like right off the bat, this is going to be a test of Nurkic. So I'll go ahead and I'll take Warriors money line here. Jim, you got a reaction?
Yeah, I'm with you on leading to the Warriors as well. And I think it's interesting to hear you say you're so confident that Draymond is playing. I looked at this in a couple different ways. I think it's 2 very different game trips if Dre does play or not, obviously. I still like the over regardless of if he plays. But I will say it's a hammer if he is out, and it's more of a strong lean if he does play, mostly based on wanting to see this Suns defense actually prove anything to me. I think they're going to play at a very high pace, and I think they're not going to be too stressed about defense. especially, as they're figuring things out on the offensive side. If Draymond does play, I think there's a few different angles to look at here. I think Kevin Durant under points is a prop that I'm going to be looking at regardless to start the season. And this is a matchup that is not great for him if Draymond is in. He's never really had great success against Draymond. We'll have to see if he might draw the Nurkic assignment. I'm very curious to see, how the minutes allocation works out in Golden State. And that's what, you can learn a lot in the first week, and you can also, confuse yourself a lot and overthink stuff a lot. But I'm very curious to see a few minutes alignments along those lines. If Looney is coming off the bench and Draymond is acting as the solo big, I think his over on rebounds, even a rebound escalator, shout out to Joe here, that's something to be looking at. Wiggins is there to grab boards, but other than that, it's a pretty small Warriors team. So there's a lot of different ways to approach this, but I think if Draymond is in, I think some of my favorites are Kevin Durant points under, Draymond rebounds over, and then the game over if Draymond does not play.
So you like the game over here. So that's if Draymond doesn't play, you like the game over. Is that correct? To reassert that?
Yeah, and it's a lean regardless, though.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about Bradley Beal over 4.5 assists. What makes you lean towards that cap?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised to see we're getting plus money on over 4.5 here. That's basically been his floor for the last 6 seasons. He averaged well over 5 last season, over 6 the year before that, and this was on very mediocre Wizards teams where he wasn't always necessarily the nominal point guard. He is now nominally the point guard on what should be an excellent offense. I think we all have qualms with maybe the team as a whole and their approach to defense or lack thereof. But in terms of this offense, it's going to be an electric offense, and him, I think Booker will get lots of usage and we'll be collecting assists as well. But this number is just a little bit too low to be saying it's implied odds under 50% in a game that I see having a decent amount of points on the board.
I wasn't going to play it anyway because I think the Warriors will switch enough on off-ball pin downs for Durant, because that's how Booker picked up a lot of assists. Like, I've loved the Booker assist props last year, but the books are clearly wise to it. Like, there's a 6+ minus 190 in the market. Like, come on. That's rude. Like, that's rude, books. So we'll wait for maybe, maybe Beal plays more point guard early, and we'll find a spot to get back in on that later once things kind of normalize. I'm very curious about Joe's bets. We'll start with, we got to get some sort of, I'm going to get our producer David Payne to find us a drop for the ladder. We need some, I think probably just from WWE, like, with the ladder. We need some sort of drop for it. I love that you're starting off the season with a ladder play. Give me the Booker ladder threes.
So, like, I've talked about this before about why I think, you need to try to take advantage of some of these spots earlier, just because I think that the number is going to move so much. Like, it's open. The baseline is 1.5 at minus 160. I think that you're better off, honestly, just foregoing that and taking 3+, 4+, and 5+, because you can get like even plus 200 for 3+ in the market. The reason I like this is that in the preseason, he's played 3 games and he's hit 2, 3, and 4 threes on 4, 6, and 6 attempts. The thing that's different here is that comprised almost 50% of his shot profile in the preseason, and he did that without playing more than 21 minutes in any game. So I think that this coincides pretty well with some of the comments that Frank Vogel has made with the Phoenix Suns, but it actually is similar to the things that he was saying with the Los Angeles Lakers when he was the coach there. And he was saying that he wants them to shoot more threes. And a big part of that is because of the fact of their relative lack of three-point shooting kind of hurt them against Denver. It hurt them in the playoffs, and it made the margin so much thinner, right? So I think that Booker is one of their best three-point shooters if he actually shoots the 3 ball. And we know he's going to be out there. We can see that in the volume. And the difference is that the roughly 50% in terms of his shot profile in the preseason, it's a dramatic swing from what he was doing during the regular season last year, where it was closer to like 25%. So if there's any carryover, I think that these numbers are just all way too short, especially when you can find some 5+ out there in the market at close to 15-1. And that's why I like Devin Booker on this 3-point ladder.
I like how you're starting off going against one of my major caps on them, which is they're not going to shoot enough threes. I hear the
Yeah.
Frank Vogel conversation. I looked this up. Since 2014, Frank Vogel's teams have never finished with more made threes per 100 possessions than their opponent. They have always
I bet.
lost on average the 3-point battle. So, like, look, if they come out tomorrow and they are bombing and you hit this ladder and we will be celebrating you, I'm gonna have to change a lot of like my cap on the Suns, and I'm probably gonna have to come back in on them to win the division after having a Clippers division bet. So that's I think
Yeah.
a really meaningful early signal I want to look for is what does the Suns 3-point output look like, and if Booker's bombing even in this matchup, just the willingness, just the insertion of those mechanisms into the offense is meaningful to me. So you have Yusuf Nurkic over 2.5 assists. It's cool that you think he's not going to foul out in 25 minutes. How's Nurk getting over 2.5 assists here, Joe?
Look, all I need him to play is like 25 minutes. It's fine. The thing is, like last year, he really only played about 26 minutes a game anyway. So we're kind of like right in where he's supposed to be, right? The thing here is that Phoenix obviously has like a relative lack of depth. We're unsure, kind of what Golden State's going to do, especially with the Draymond injury. Like, is he going to play his normal amount of minutes? Are we going to see a lot more Kevon Looney, which means that we're probably going to see a little bit more Nurk? The way that I see this is this line opened at plus money at 2.5. It's since been bet down. It's about like standard juice around minus 110. Part of why I like this is in the 3 preseason games he's played, he's got 5, 2, and 3. Never played more than 21 minutes. But what was more important to me was that the 2 games that he had, the 5 and the 3, were with Booker, Durant, and Beal. I think that Yusuf Nurkic is a significant downgrade from DeAndre Ayton as like an overall just basketball player. But the one thing that Nurkic does well and better than Ayton is actually pass the ball. Number one, Ayton didn't really get the ball, but that's kind of besides the point. But Nurkic should operate as a decent wheel man. I think that he can operate out of the post and find a couple like open guys, and he knows what his role is here. He knows he's not trying to go score a million points. And even last year, when he did play 40 games with Damian Lillard, and in those games he had 3 or more in half of them, and he averaged 2.9 assists per game. So that was with just one person that could really score, and now he's got Booker, Beal, and Durant all on the same team. So I like him to go over the 2.5 assists.
We're going to go to the rest of our panel. We'll get best bets for the Tuesday slate, and joining us is Sean Little, Jay Money, and don't forget Albert Wynn, the analytics capper. That's up next. All right, join me now for Tuesday best bets. He's back, the man, the myth, the legend. Regular temperature Jay Money. You can find him on Twitter at Jay Money is Money and in the Action Network app. Jay, welcome back to Buckets, my man. Good to see you again. Let's get it. What do you want to start with for your Tuesday best bet?
Man, there's only one way that I can start off the season, man. We're going with the team that got swept out of the NBA playoffs. Playoff revenge spot. This is a spot that I'll take 10 times out of 10 and live with the results. I am taking the LA Lakers with the points in this one, plus the 5. Personally, I think that they win outright, but I will be, obviously, I mean, if they're going to give me points, I will take them here. And if they don't get it done, then I'll just double up with them on the next time, man. So Lakers plus the 5, Tuesday.
I mean, I'm not surprised you're on it, given your well-known penchant for loving the motivation spot. I think it's an interesting question, right? Of like, what's I am very just like confused by the whole stuff with this, where it's like, yeah, the Nuggets have been talking all this shit, and it's not, no, they haven't. Like, that's just not a thing that's happened. Like, the Nuggets have actually not talked a lot of shit. One Denver reporter did. And Michael Malone made one comment when he was drunk at a parade. And other than that, the Nuggets have kept their mouths shut. But everyone today is like, well, the Nuggets have been talking. And it's like, I don't know, man. You see Nikola Jokic on fucking Instagram talking shit? I don't think so. But, like, you're not wrong in that, like, the Lakers definitely think that they've talked a bunch of shit. Anthony Davis has talked a bunch of shit. Like, Anthony Davis is like, oh, we're coming. We've got this game circled. I would tell you I'd be a little bit nervous about that. I don't want Anthony Davis in any sort of spot where he's supposed to bow up and look tough. Like, that's not You need AD when it's a Tuesday versus a small, undersized team missing their center. That's when you want Anthony Davis. But I get it. This is a revenge spot, and those are your favorite plays.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that there have been 3 instances over the summer where he said something. Obviously, it was after that, but the coach Mike Malone did go on the podcast as well. I believe it was it may have been the Pat McAfee show, but regardless of it, there has been 3 separate times this year where they're mentioning the Lakers. I don't really care about that. That's not part of my cap. Part of my cap is I will throw in that AD telling me that they have this spot circled and they can't wait. That lets me know that they really want this game, which I already know that, right? But I don't think that they necessarily should have got swept out of the playoffs, but they did. But this is the revenge spot, and I don't know. I might take the Lakers every single matchup this year versus the Nuggets.
If you lose this and the Nuggets win, what are you gonna think?
I'm going to wait the next game. I'm not going to think anything. I know it's very possible, and the Nuggets could come out on their home floor ring night. But part of that motivation is the team that's on the other end watching you get your rings. Like you want to spoil that party. So while the Nuggets, they're going to be up for this game as well, it's still a little bit of emotional letdown when you're taking back to last season, reminiscing on everything that happened. You're getting your rings, and then it's really hard to turn that off and get ready for the game where we know the Lakers can't wait for this game. So if they do happen to lose this game by more than 6 points, I will be throwing a few more units on them the next time that they play. So I'm not scared, man.
Situations are not analogous, but it does kind of feel like a little bit like the 2011-12 season opener, which was Heat at Mavericks for Mavericks ring night, and LeBron went out there and just like he brought the building to rubble. That was 12 years ago, so it's a little bit different, but an interesting one nonetheless. All right, that's Jay Money. We'll see who's up next as we continue our best bets. All right, join me now as we continue our smorgasbord of best bets for NBA opening night. I've got Albert Wynn, the analytics capper, and Sean Little. You can find him on Twitter at Chicago Flow. They're both in the Action Network app. Boys, thanks for joining me. What do you got for our opening slate? Albert, give me your best bet for Tuesday.
Tuesday night, 2 games only on the slate, opening night of NBA. I like the Lakers to come into Denver and maybe upset them for the game, but my best bet is going to be first half plus 2.5 LA.
All right, Sean, what do you happen to have on this game?
I swear I didn't copy my guy AC. We were talking about it just before we hopped on. I'm also on the Lakers first half plus 2.5. I think they believe that chip is real. We'll get into it.
All right, so let's talk about this. It's interesting. I did best bets with Joe Dallaire and Jim Turvey, and they didn't have bets on this game. And I've got some prop plays on it. I stayed away from the side in part because there's basically, depending on how much you factor home court for Denver, is whether or not this should be a play on the Lakers definitively or the Nuggets definitively. I don't know how to factor it with the altitude, where I'm not sure when the Lakers got into town. I don't know if they're coming into town on Monday. I don't know if they're coming into town. If they got in town on Sunday, if they gave themselves time to acclimate. I would imagine it's probably Monday, which that's a little that favors, I think, Denver a little bit here. The first half play is specific and interesting. Sean, let's start with you. Why do you like the Lakers in the first half?
Yeah, a few things. Let's give some of the numbers that I always think are interesting. I actually messaged. I was just looking all over on the internet for first half ATS on ring night. I had trouble finding it, but ring nights last 11 years, 9-2 straight up to the folks raising the banner, 7-2 against the spread, and also LeBron James 0-4 on the road in season openers dating back to 2015. But this is a spot for the Lakers and LeBron and AD and the rest of the guys. I really think they've talked themselves into this Nuggets banter being real, when we all know, or the people that are paying attention know, that the Nuggets are just playing ball and doing what they do and going about their business night in, night out. And that's what they did in the playoffs, and were able to take care of business when they saw the Lakers heads up. But this seems to be a real thing for the Lakers. They believe the Nuggets were disrespecting them, don't believe in them, and don't think they're on their level and playing their caliber of basketball. I think the Lakers are going to bring that here in the opening. It's going to be a rallying cry for the Lakers in the opening night. Also, new impact guys, of course, for the playoff run. They're newer, but this is now going to be the full year. D'Lo, Rui, And of course, we know the new Austin Reeves. I think there's going to be a lot of nights where he is clear in a way the second option on offense after Anthony Davis, and LeBron James is also going to be playing that specific playmaker role. That's also why I like LeBron under 27.1 season for points per game. So I like that season long prop there. But we know the Lakers have been towards the bottom of the league in offensive rating the last 3 years. That's why they brought Gabe Vincent, Christian Wood solely on bringing some additional offense. I think they helped there. Beginning of the season last year for the Nuggets, October to January, so 2022, Nuggets 19-24 ATS in the first half against the spread. I'm interested to see how these rotations break out. We know the big minutes are big crucial minutes as well that are being left by Bruce Brown. So overall, I think the Lakers have bought into this narrative that the Nuggets don't respect them, and they at least show up and get rolling here in the first half against a Nuggets team that to start the season and to the second half of the season, they were right at 500 in the first half. I think this is where it's very competitive, at least initially. I'll take the 2.5 points with the Lakers.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really interested to see how the game plays out. It's one of the reasons I haven't bet it, because there's a lot of things I think that are on the table here where it's like I can't really rule out an outcome in terms of probabilistically. I think they're all about pretty even. Where I could also see Denver just smacking them pretty hard, because honestly, what's really funny is like, all the trash talk, like the Nuggets haven't done any. It's like, this is a complete fabrication. Like, all it is Vic Lombardi, who's been on local media for years, said the Lakers are the daddy line. Malone made one reference to LeBron retiring, and that's it. Like, no player has said anything. So there's this, but I agree with you. There's kind of this narrative. Like, I will say it makes me want to bet the Nuggets that Anthony Davis is like, oh yeah, we've got that game circled. We're looking forward to it. Anytime Anthony Davis is like, I'm gonna go in there and dominate, I'm like, I want to fade that moment. That's what I want to fade. So that makes me lean Nuggets, but at the same time, ring night, emotional. They're talking a lot about how, like, yeah, we just want to kind of, it'll be nice, but then we've got work to do. Like, they're super focused on it. The bench is worse, but the bench was bad last year. The first half play you're going up against, it presumably won't be a Lakers by more than 15. And in that situation, you're having to live through 5 minutes of Jokic ball at least in that closing quarter. The Nugget starters will probably look really good. Their continuity is clean, and whenever they've played anybody, preseason scrimmages, whatever, the starters look apparently just hyper dominant.
Yeah, Jokic around that's like 17.1, 17.2 minutes in the first half at home. Yeah. So, yeah, that's true.
But look, the Lakers are definitely the more motivated team here, and I always talk about how motivation is the biggest edge in NBA regular season. AC, why do you like this play?
Yeah, so this is game 1 of 82, right? It's hard to project how these guys are going to play, but I think what we know, or the least unknowns, is the first half, because I actually lean LA for the game, but I can't count on them, late in the fourth. I can't count on them shooting free throws well either. I know Denver's the better starting 5, and they've been together. They're going to execute a lot better down the stretch. So that's why I'm going to stay away from the full game and really focus on the first half. And another reason is, LeBron entering year 21, I think he's going to not play a full slate of minutes that night, right? I think he's going to probably see most of his time in the first half. And then I think I don't know what the rotations are going to be in the second half, but I think he's going to scale down in the minutes. He's always been like that. He has to work himself into midseason form. And then the other thing I like is, I wish our guy Jay was here, but it's a great revenge spot, right? We talk about revenge spot not only night to night or week to week, but head to head, right? Even if it's from last season back May, when the Denver Nuggets did sweep the LA Lakers. So I think it's a great spot for them. I think they're deeper. And again, Matt and Sean mentioned it, but they are a little more motivated. And I think those bench minutes are really what's going to set the difference in that first half.
Yeah, so the key I think is that the Lakers stagger their guys, and that gives the Nuggets a lot of problems because they don't stagger Jokic, which I think they should. As a person that does not know a fraction of what Michael Malone knows about basketball, I don't understand. He's going to do this again, where he's going to pull Jamal Murray around the 6 minute mark of the first quarter, and then bring him back to start the second, and have him play with the second unit alongside Reggie Jackson. And like heads up, like those units are going to get murdered. Like they're just going to get absolutely murdered. So if you've got I'm going to be looking for whoever the Denver is playing. If they are leading after the first quarter by a heavy margin, I will be coming back on the other side for the first half spread throughout the early part of the season, because I just don't think those lineups are going to work at all. The counter to this would be the non-Jokic minutes last year had a -10 net rating.
Yeah.
Like the bar is in hell. That's how low it is. Like you literally have to not be a trash can on fire rolling down the hill for this Nuggets bench to be better than last season. It's a lot of kiddos. My concern, honestly, is my biggest concern is first quarter after Murray checks out. Is that what's going to happen is Murray goes out, Reggie Jackson comes in. Last season, the starters minus Murray with Bruce Brown were +13. Like they destroyed. And so it's like, okay, if you go from -13, they're going to win those minutes. It's Jokic. But if you go from +13 to +7, that means that the margin for error for that bench unit, which is still going to be bad, is smaller. So even if they're not as bad as last year's, they have to be that much better than last year's to make up for the downgrade in the stagger minutes. So this like rotational flow for Denver is what I'm really worried about early on in the season. That said, it's also possible that rookie Julian Strother comes in and hits like 4 threes for the bench unit, and that's enough to get them through those minutes for Jokic to get back in.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah. If that happens, you can pack up this play and throw it in the trash for sure. But the new rotations, the different things that I think Denver's going to be working through are going to be in our favor. If you have the Lakers +2.5, the time to get rest, at least in this game, and start the season out for Jokic, like you said, Matt, it's going to be Murray coming out in the first quarter, and then Jokic getting some rest here in the second. That's what I'm banking on, and I believe that the Lakers are just going to come out trying to prove something that the Nuggets sincerely don't even know what they're talking about. Like I think that's sincere, and the Lakers are going to try to come out and prove either themselves right, and the rest of I guess the Twitterverse wrong.
All right, that's Sean Little and Albert Wynn, the analytics capper. You can find them on Twitter and then the Action Network app. That's going to do it for Best Bets on a Tuesday. We're off and running. Glad to have you guys with us. We'll be back tomorrow with Best Bets. We've got Best Bets lined up on Wednesday for all of the big, huge monster slate that we've got on what is really opening night, in my opinion, in the NBA. We'll see you tomorrow. My thanks to David Payne, our producer, our video producers, including Hutton Jackson on the video side, getting this up on YouTube. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Till then, let's get buckets.